What is going on, everybody? What is going on, the Catch fam? My name is John Dawson, and in today's video, we will be conducting a 2022 fantasy football draft through the Yahoo platform. This is a 10-man draft, full PPR. Looks like we've got 9 other drafters with us, so this should be a good time. If you do enjoy today's content, go ahead, make sure hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and of course drop a comment down below with how pumped on a scale of 1 to 10 you are for the 2022 fantasy football season, baby. Let's have a good draft. Let's have some fun. Throughout the video, I'll be going through my personal strategy for this specific mock draft. I'll be commenting on what other teams are doing. We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna talk some fantasy football. All right, so with the first overall selection, no surprise here, we've got JT off the board, followed by Cooper Kupp. As wow, Derrick Henry, things are moving very, very quickly. So as the NFL draft draws closer, there goes Eckler at 4, as well as the regular football season draws closer in general, with Najee Harris now off the board. We will be seeing more and more sites opening their mock draft platforms, and Yahoo, to my knowledge, is one of the first. So I know a lot of you guys out there, a lot of the members of the Catch fam do draft through Yahoo, so this should be pretty informative in terms of where Yahoo is at the moment with their overall ADP and how Yahoo users are currently drafting. All right, so we've seen 3 receivers as well as 5 running backs off the board so far. At this point in the draft, I am following suit with the current ADP that Yahoo has, and I am going to pick a running back first here and go ahead and take Javonte Williams of the Denver Broncos off of the board. Looking at the overall ADP, I don't mind it at all as we see Dalvin Cook taken 9th overall, but I do think Devontae Adams, for example, should be a little bit higher. They've got Leonard Fournette much higher than like the sleeper app that we do our mock drafts through here at the channel. So this is going to be interesting to kind of see where all these players are ranked, to see where they're being taken throughout this current platform. So this should be pretty informative. There goes Joe Mixon at 11th, who I was personally really eyeing as an RB2 here, but since he's off the board, my top target here is going to be Devontae Adams if he does not get selected here, and he does. So there's a couple players that I really like here. I'm probably going to lean with Stephon Diggs here. I would not mind a Leonard Fournette or even an Alvin Kamara here as well. Let's go ahead and take our wide receiver 1, start this draft off with a strong RB1 and a strong wide receiver 1. We've got 2 pretty valuable picks at pick 28 and 33. So in a 10-man draft, I like to go out, get an RB1, get a wide receiver 1, unless there are just 2 absolute stud RB1s at the beginning of the draft that I don't feel like I can pass up. For me personally, if Joe Mixon was there, there's no way I could have personally passed him up. Looking at the board after my selection of Stephon Diggs, we've got Nick Chubb and DeAndre Swift off the board, followed by Leonard Fournette. In a lot of platforms, Leonard Fournette is kind of tucked away closer to pick 28, pick 29, pick 30. But I've said this all offseason long. I do believe as the NFL season draws closer and closer, we will see Fournette really shoot up on draft boards. And in last week's mock draft with you guys, with the Catch fam, man, I mean, Leonard Fournette and James Conner, 2 running backs that I absolutely love going to next season, both win the second round. And I do think by the time we're doing heavy mock drafts in the summer, by the time we're doing real fantasy football drafts for the 2022 season, that Leonard Fournette and James Conner will be going the second round. All right, there goes CeeDee Lamb. So really going through this is Travis Kelce, the first tight end, is taken off of the board. I'm definitely eyeing James Conner as my RB2, but the fact that Kamara is sitting here is just ridiculous to me, all the way at pick 19. So I would love to add Kamara, but there's no way in hell that he drops to pick 28 there. So let's take a look at the receivers. For me right now, love Mike Evans. I'm a little, got a little bit of a question mark around Debo, but I don't believe that Debo will fall to 28 as Kamara is taken 19th overall in this mock draft. So I'd love to target James Conner and Mike Evans with these next 2 selections, but Evans is ranked very high on Yahoo. He's ranked a lot lower on a lot of other platforms that we've been mock drafting through, so I don't even think he's going to be available. I'll leave him queued up. I don't think I'm going to go QB early in this draft, especially it being a 10-man draft. I do think that we'll have an opportunity to get a very good QB later on. So right now, I'm looking to go out and get my RB2 in James Conner, and then I'm going to probably go best player available. One other potential, wow, man, they've got Mark Andrews. Wow, I didn't even think about Tyreek Hill going 23rd here. So Mark Andrews ranked behind Kyle Pitts, George Kittle, all the way behind Schultz, Waller. Wow, that is a huge jump back. Very interesting here. All right, so Tyreek Hill's off the board at 23rd. I didn't even think about him in the first round. Somehow completely missed him, but that is not a player we've seen fall all the way to the 3rd round, even in 10-man mock drafts that we've been conducting so far in the offseason. So it's definitely very interesting to see these rankings overall. There goes David Montgomery. Still got Gibson on the board. Josh Allen is still sitting around. No QB has been taken so far in this draft. It's a couple moves we can make here. I definitely want James Conner on this team. There goes Josh Allen. I don't think I want to risk getting to pick 33 and not having him available. So I'm going to go ahead and take him. Get my RB2, feel really good about the start to this team. There goes Cam Akers. We could make a power move here and go Mark Andrews. We could go with the second QB on the board. It'd be interesting to see who they've got ranked. They've got Justin Herbert, Lamar, then Patty Mahomes. These are, not the worst rankings. It's interesting that they do have Brady pretty updated, where in a lot of platforms, Brady is still pretty far back, hasn't really been updated. So that's good to see. I do like Keenan Allen with this next selection as well. It's a very solid wide receiver to Stephon Diggs. Josh Jacobs is sitting here as well. Would not mind him as an RB3. But if Mark Andrews is sitting here at this next selection as Darren Waller's taken, there goes Mark Andrews. So for me, I'm probably just going to go ahead and take my RB2 and Keenan Allen, get a ton of consistency out of Stephon Diggs and Keenan Allen, then have two very solid running backs in my opinion. Still not really ready to queue up a ton of players here, as by the time we pick at selections 48 and 53, several players are going to be taken. I mean, there goes Josh Jacobs, who I had up on my queue. So let's just kind of sit back and see how this goes, as this is my first mock draft through the Yahoo platform. I'm already feeling a little rusty if you guys can't tell, but I still think we have a very solid start to this team. Two stud receivers who, like I said, just offer extreme consistency, going to be part of two of the best offenses in the league next season. Then I have a lot of personal conviction in Javonte Williams really making a sophomore leap next season. And then James Conner, if you guys follow the channel close, you guys know that's been my guy all off season long. So Jalen Waddle off the board. We got Eli Mitchell, Zeke off the board, and Hopkins all here in the 4th round. This is a 10-man mock, so that's not too crazy. If this was a 12-man mock, some of these players would be a little bit ahead of where I would personally have them rated, but I think Jalen Waddle, for example, at pick 38 is an absolute steal. So the way that this draft has started, I think that I'm probably going to load up with these next two selections at 48 and 53. At the running back and the receiver position, continue to try and build out the skill positions. We've got a lot of bench spots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bench spots and a flex spot. So I'm going to go ahead and get some value at the RB and receiver position. There goes ETN. I'm going to hold off at tight end and QB probably for a little bit here. I'm going to try and land a Jalen Hurts in this mock draft here. I mean, Patty Mahomes is still laying around. There goes Matthew Stafford. I mean, before Herbert, Lamar, Patty Mahomes, Burrow, Murray? I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks still sitting around that I would take in a heartbeat before Matthew Stafford. I mean, no knock on Stafford. He had a very good season last year. But looking at the skill positions available, who we can start to target at pick 48. I mean, for me, DK Metcalf stands out. I mean, 12 touchdowns last season, 967 receiving yards. I get it, man. Like, at the moment, Drew Lock's your QB1 on that team. But I just think that Metcalf is still going to be very productive. He had some really good games last season with Geno Smith at the quarterback position. So for me, Metcalf as a wide receiver 3, especially behind Diggs and Allen, is 1000% worth the risk. Outside of Metcalf, I love T. Higgins here. There goes Metcalf at pick 45, so he's off the board. Higgins is another player, especially at the flex, who I would absolutely love to have on this team. I think he is a phenomenal wide receiver 3, going to be part of one of the most explosive offenses in the league with the Cincinnati Bengals. And really, he is a perfect flex type player, right? He's going to have some weeks where he only gets you 8 points, and he's going to have weeks where he gets you 20 plus points, right? 1,090 receiving yards last season, 6 receiving touchdowns off 74 receptions. And there he goes. Both the players I'm shouting out selected in a row. There goes George Kittle, a very good selection. So this is why it's important to always have your next tier of players available, because when the 3 guys that you're literally thinking about drafting get drafted, what are you going to do, right? So DJ Moore would be an interesting selection here, but I'm going to take some upside in Amon-Ra St. Brown. I kind of view him similar to a T. Higgins, a player that offers you a lot of potential upside, and I'm happy with that selection. With the fact that Metcalf and Higgins went, I had George Kittle in the back of my mind as well. All right, so let's look at the running backs available. Things have absolutely slimmed out. Let's go ahead and queue up Patty and Cheese. Hopefully be able to save him into the next round, but I would not mind him being the RB3 on this team. At the moment, looking at the running backs available, I mean, I think A.J. Dillon is probably the best situation here. I don't mind a Rashad Penny, don't mind a Michael Carter. I'm a little hesitant about New England's backfield at the moment, because I do think there will be 3 running backs in that backfield next season, but gosh. Good thing we went out and got 2 running backs that I really like early in this draft, because it has just absolutely dried out. And if you guys have not been mock drafting, similar to last season, right, the running back position absolutely dries up very quickly. So make sure you guys are going out and getting at least 1 running back early on, but more than likely you're going to need 2 running backs by the end of the 3rd round. Really, throughout all the mock drafts we've done here at the Catch in the offseason, man, it's a necessity. All right, let's look at QBs very quickly. I still don't think I want to pull the trigger there. But Deontay Johnson's sitting here. And I know we have 3 receivers, but gosh, he is looking pretty juicy there, as is Courtland Sutton. But let's make a power move here. Patrick Mahomes is sitting here, and listen, there are a lot of good receivers sitting here. Deontay Johnson is a player we don't know who's going to be throwing him the football next season, but he is an extremely productive wide receiver. Really shouldn't be available at this point in the draft, but at the end of the day, we went out and we got a 3rd receiver who offers a ton of upside. But Patrick Mahomes sitting there, I get it. A little bit of a slump last year. Tyreek Hill's not on the team, but really, if you're going to call last year a slump for Patty Mahomes, I mean, he still had 4,800 passing yards, 37 passing touchdowns, just 13 touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, and 381 rushing touchdowns overall. Andy Reid is still the head coach on this football squad, and they're going to get it done, man. They're going to find a way with MVS, Juju Smith-Schuster, Travis Kelce, Ronald Jones, CEH, and whoever the hell they draft the receiver position. They're going to find a way to be a productive offense. And at this point in the draft, I mean, what selection was that? Pick 53. I have not seen Patty Mahomes fall to the 6th round in a single mock draft we've done in the offseason until today. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. If you've got more conviction in Burrow or Herbert, I'm completely okay with that, as Deontay Johnson and Dalton Schultz are taken off the board. Outside of that, we saw a couple other QBs in Josh Allen, and I mean, Matthew Stafford's interesting being selected there as well. But like I always say, man, if you got the conviction, go out and get your guy, right? Not going to knock you for it, but that Matthew Stafford selection, definitely a little bit interesting. All right, there goes Lamar Jackson as well. And I still think late in this draft, we'll be able to land a 2nd QB in Jalen Hurts. He's rated very low, but once again, he's been consistently rated pretty low on a lot of these lists. And oh my God, Terry McLaurin is still hanging around. Mike Williams, Devonta Smith. I mean, we know that the receiver position is extremely deep. And oh my goodness. Okay, there goes Scary Terry, Kyler Murray, Tom Brady, Trey Lance, all off the board. That was very quick. Let's just make sure we're queuing up a lot of these guys that we want to keep an eye on. I'm going to go ahead and get my tight end here. So I feel pretty good about going out, getting my QB and my tight end. You guys know, if you follow the channel, I'm very high on Dawson Knox as my tight end 1. But he was hurt last season, so I do like to try and go out in later rounds and maybe get a Mike Gesicki or a Hunter Henry. Just a tight end 2 with how thin the position is. We've got our first defense off the board in the San Francisco 49ers. This has definitely been an interesting mock draft to say the least. So A.J. Dillon is the top rated player. I would love to turn around here and be able to add him as my first bench player. But if he gets selected, then I'm eyeing Rashad Penny or Cordero Patterson. There goes Devonta Smith. There are enough wide receivers in these late rounds that I would be happy with, and we're going to cross our fingers that some of them do fall to us. A lot of those guys that I just queued up. There goes J.K. Dobbins. We are next on the board. Be very happy if Dillon falls to us here. If he does not, then I'll go out and I'll select Patterson or Rashad Penny here. And then we'll probably turn around, like I said, let's see. We got pick 88 and 93. Probably Jalen Hurts there, and really a guy like Hunter Renfrow, Brandon Cooks, Darnell Mooney, be really happy with. There goes the first kicker off the board. Don't ask me why, but Justin Tucker is off the board. So let's go ahead and add some running back depth and A.J. Dillon. Let's make sure, as we're going to get a couple quick picks. Looks like we've got a couple auto selections. Let's make sure we've got any running backs that we're interested in, any handcuff situations, 50-50 type splits. Tony Pollard, Alexander Madison, Darrell Henderson, some late round guys that I really like, Kareem Hunt as well. Let's make sure we've got those guys queued up, as well as James Robinson, very, very far back on these overall rankings. And let's take a look at the receivers, as I know I've got some late round receivers that I have not seen listed quite. I mean, Chris Godwin at, whoa, rank 100. Okay, we're about to get a huge steal in this draft, in my opinion. So like I said, I'm a little rusty. I'm not 100%. This is the first time I've even looked at Yahoo's platform. I have no idea why. I mean, am I missing something here? Is Chris Godwin hurt that I don't know about? There's no reason. I mean, okay, that's got to be one of our next targets. If we can hit Patterson and Chris Godwin with these next two selections, I will be extremely happy, even if we don't land at Jalen Hurts. All right, lots of players off the board here in the 9th round. CH, Mike Williams, Michael Thomas, Money Mack, Kansas City's defense, and Tyler Bass. We're seeing a big run of defense and kicker. Some of that might be alluded to some of the auto picks here. There goes Pounder and Cheese. Are you kidding me? All right, that's okay. That's okay. So let's take a look at the queue. Couple of running backs I have some interest in here, but I'm sorry, man. I got to take Chris Godwin off the board. I cannot pass up that selection there. Looking at the running backs, though, I do think it's pretty crucial that we potentially take a chance. We've got 4 really good receivers. We've got 4 spots left on this bench. I do want to go out and get a Jalen Hurts. I mean, I just think it would make this team so extremely dynamic. I'm pretty happy, even though we only have 3 running backs. Right now, I'm only drafting 3 to 4 running backs because it just dries out so very quickly. Let's just keep taking a look down. I mean, Derek Carr is pretty low, but that's pretty normal. I do think he's a very good late round quarterback to target. There goes Tyler Lockett, which is, I mean, Tyler Lockett's gone anywhere from in the offseason here, he's gone anywhere from the 3rd round to like the 10th round to the 12th round. So that doesn't really surprise me. There goes Kareem Hunt. I think a pretty good value at this point. Kendrick Bourne's very low. I don't even think we're going to need to draft him, but Kendrick Bourne is a late round wide receiver that I love. Okay, so I might take a risk here and go running back and hope that a Jalen Hurts could fall to us at 108. He is a little bit further down on this list. And if I do go running back here, for me, it's got to be a Tony Pollard. There goes Brandon Cooks. Other players that I really like at this point in the draft, Hunter Renfrow for sure, Darnell Mooney, Hollywood Brown, Michael Gallup. But let's go ahead and pull the trigger. Let's go with Pollard. And, you know, I talked about this in the video I released earlier in the week, right? I don't really consider Pollard or Dillon handcuffs necessarily. Don't get me wrong. If Aaron Jones or Zeke gets injured, they are an automatic RB1 who are both going to offer you a ton of value. At the same time, both those running backs are going to be productive. Even when Zeke and Jones are healthy, they're going to get touches. So they're almost like a step above a handcuff. They're in a backfield committee that offers a ton of value. Really don't see any other running backs that really offer that. So I love Dillon and Pollard in a sense as handcuffs, but overall, I think they're both very good running backs to have on the bench, right? All right, there goes Ayuk, who's a big steal at this point in the draft. So with these next 2 selections, I'd love to get a Hunter Renfrow, someone who I think is being just criminally underrated going into 2022. Then I'd love to get a Jalen Hurts as well. Outside of that, I love Mooney. I love Hollywood Brown. both over 1,000 yards last season. I think Mooney's going to have a good year. Very nice chemistry with our boy Justin Fields. Thielen deserves to be queued up. There goes Darnell Mooney as well. Thielen was on a monster pace before getting injured last season. A-Rod's still hanging around. Zach Ertz is hanging around. Don't forget that I did say I want to go out and get another tight end, which will probably happen, at pick 128. So I think we're going to put together a beautiful roster no matter what. I mean, gosh, that Chris Godwin pick's just unfair. That's got to be the biggest outlier of looking at these overall rankings tonight. I definitely think that Chris Godwin, I mean, he's pretty low rated overall and a little bit undervalued in general as well. A lot of picks just went, and it's up to Gary to see if we get Jalen Hurts tonight or not, and or Hunter Renfrow. They are the top players on the board. But Godwin, all the way at, ranked 100th overall is crazy to me. All right, so Renfrow's off the board, but I'm going to go ahead and take my QB2, which I don't always do, but Mahomes and Hurts, I think, is just a nasty combination. Now, if we go back and look where we picked Mahomes, there's definitely a high-skilled running back, a high-skilled receiver we could have selected over Mahomes and still landed Jalen Hurts, who I think is fine as a QB1. But having both those guys, I think, is absolutely filthy. Running backs look good right now. Receivers look very good. So I think we go out. We probably go and get the best player available, whether it's another handcuff situation, Madison, which it's not going to be because he just got selected, or Darrell Henderson, Michael Gallup as a wide receiver 2. I don't mind whatsoever. I mean, Gesicki's still hanging around. I might go out. I think I'm going to draft Mike Gesicki here. Gosh, they got Freiermuth, Gronk, and Njoku ahead of him. Hunter Henry's very low. Henry's been another tight end too that I'd love to go out and get. Or I could go running back here, but I feel pretty good. I think my strategy here to end this draft is to go out and get tight end and Mike Gesicki, and then target one of these later round receivers like a Tyler Boyd or a Tim Patrick, who I think are both going to be on very productive offenses next season. If I didn't go this route and I went receiver, running back here, I go Michael Gallup at the receiver position, or I go Darrell Henderson or James Robinson at the running back position. Justin Jackson is another late round handcuff type situation running back that I really, really like, being on the Chargers, being on an extremely dynamic offense going into next season as well. But I do think that here we'll go in, we'll shore up a tight end too. I mean, I love Dawson Knox, super high on him. Obviously part of the Bills going to have a very productive year from an offensive standpoint, has great chemistry with our boy Josh Allen, but he was hurt last season, did miss some time. So let's go ahead. Let's secure a second tight end behind Dawson Knox, and let's move on. All right, so plenty of talent continuing to be 8 up. After that selection of Mike Gesicki, we've seen Parker, Freiermuth, Cousins, and Gallup all off the board. But I'm really not stressing. I mean, Tyler Boyd is my top-rated player. If he gets selected, I'll either go James Robinson or Tim Patrick, and I think we finish out this roster very, very strongly. There goes Watson, the Colts, Matt Gay, Rams defense. So we're beginning to see a little bit of a run. Kickers and defense, but that does not bother me whatsoever. I will let whoever wants to pick kickers and defense before me do so. And we'll probably pick, let's see, a kicker. I pick 133 and then a defense to finish out the draft, as I primarily will stream defenses throughout the season. Tyler Boyd, 100% my top target here. I think an absolute steal. 828 receiving yards last season and 5 receiving touchdowns, but he's part of the Bengals. He's one of the best wide receiver 3s you can possibly go out and add to your team. All right, this is a very strong roster, in my opinion. We'll break it down at the end of the mock draft here, but let's go ahead and see what kickers are available. I mean, Harrison Butker, not the worst selection here. We saw a ton of kickers already go. Let's see if there's any diamonds in the rough. Ryan Suckup, Nick Folk. Okay, I was like, there's got to be someone just staring me right in the eyes. Nick Folk, a phenomenal kicker last season. Outside of that, yeah, I don't see, unless I'm missing someone. Don't let my co-host Steven see this. I mean, Chris Boswell wouldn't be a bad selection. Bullock had some really good games last season. Part of me just wants to not draft a kicker, but I'm going to go ahead and just do a regular full roster here. But I mean, Robinson, Patrick, and Bourne sitting here makes me almost want to forfeit a defense. But we'll draft a defense. We'll finish out this draft with a head-to-toe roster, so to speak. Looking at these defenses available, once the actual NFL schedule is released and we know who's playing each other week 1, I'll probably be targeting whoever's playing Falcons or the Texans or whoever is expected to be the worst offense in the league next season. Although sometimes that can be a little bit of a gamble before the season starts because we have some teams kind of surprise us, and it takes about 2 or 3 weeks to really see who is truly the worst offense in the league. Nonetheless, since we don't really have that information right now, I'll probably just go with who I think is the best available defense. Right now, it's looking like Pittsburgh. They're always going to be one of those teams that has a dynamic overall defense. And there goes some good players there at the end here. Noah Fant, Hunter Henry, James Robinson. Outside of that, the Saints defense played well at times last season. Green Bay played well at times last season. That's in Miami, but also Dallas, who I feel like Dallas has been 50-50 here in the offseason. Some fantasy managers really believe that they are going to have a repeat of what they did last season. Then some think that they are going to be awful. So I'll go with Dallas looking at who's available, right? I mean, Arizona had some good games. Tennessee had some good games. Pittsburgh actually didn't play that well in comparison from a fantasy standpoint to most of the other defenses we just went over. So going to keep looking through everyone. Dallas is still sitting here, and it's my turn to draft. I mean, I don't think... Yeah, so these are ranked, it looks like. Okay. See, Miami, right, with Flores leaving, I don't know how defensive-minded they're going to be next season. And I really think Brian Flores was a big part of that. So let's just draft Dallas, take the most upside, so to speak, at the defensive position, and that'll finish out this draft. Our first pre-recorded mock draft of the 2022 fantasy football season. Let's go, baby. All right, let's take a look at this team. Not this guy. Interesting little avatar he's got there. Okay, that's me. All right, so QB, right? We got Patty Mahomes. Wow, Patty Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, even in a 10-man draft, I feel like that's pretty phenomenal overall. Looking at the receivers, we got Diggs, Allen, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Chris Godwin, and Tyler Boyd. Absolutely love this receiving room. Absolutely love Tyler Boyd as my wide receiver 5. Looking at running backs, we got Javonte Williams, James Conner, AJ Dillon, and Tony Pollard. So I love those first 2 running backs. I think Pollard and Dillon offer a little bit of depth. Overall, they might not be productive on a week in, week out basis. Like I said, kind of in between a 50-50 split type running back and a handcuff situation, right? But I love having both those guys on the bench. I think they add a lot of really nice depth. Tight end 1 is Dawson Knox. Tight end 2 is Mike Gesicki. I love both those guys going into the next season. Finish it out with Nick Folk at the kicker position and Dallas's defense. I think this was a phenomenal draft. I do apologize if I was a little rusty, guys. Like I said, it's my first time hopping on to Yahoo. Our boy Smokey the Cat let us know in Monday night's subscriber mock draft that Yahoo was open. Let me know I should check out what Yahoo was doing in terms of their overall ADP. That it was very, very different from what we've been seeing in our subscriber mock drafts. If you guys do want to join one of our subscriber weekly mock drafts, make sure to join the Discord down below. Link is in the description. It's completely free to join. We run at least 1 subscriber mock draft every single week. Don't forget to subscribe down below. Join the Catch Fam on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Hit that like button on your way out. And of course, drop a comment. Let me know what you thought of tonight's mock draft. Overall, I appreciate you guys hanging out and drafting with me. And with that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on The Catch.